Welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. My name again is Jeffrey Davis, and this is the Radio Entrepreneurs Valiant sponsored In the Weeds segment with Chris Tenaglia, COO of Valiant, who cannot attend today due to a last minute situation, but I know we are going to continue with him in mind. Our guest is Will Bowden, CEO of Grasshopper Farms. Wow.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Tell us about Grasshopper Farms, which I assume I'm looking at behind your shoulder.
You are. This picture is actually taken this morning, and you'll see a hot air balloon back there over my shoulder. We were blessed with some hot air balloons going over, which was pretty neat. So we were able to catch it on a drone flight today too. So Grasshopper Farm. So I got into this industry actually the same month that I retired from the military after 20 years of service, and the irony was not lost on anybody that I ended up getting offered a position to go into cannabis the same month that I retired from a job that wasn't allowing me to partake or even work in this industry if I wanted to. But I saw the benefit of this industry, both from the health and medicine perspective, but then also from a business perspective. And I thought it was an amazing opportunity. I started working for another company, an aspiring MSO, and started to get to know the industry. And shortly after that, I fell in love with the outdoor farming idea, recognizing that there was going to be a need for more outdoor farming as this industry continues to develop. And about that same time, I ran into a study that a university had done back in 2011, so 12 years ago, that said that, hey, 1% of the US power grid is being occupied right now by indoor cannabis grow. So, I don't know that in the United States that we've understood what the appropriate future ratio is going to be of what we might call outdoor, greenhouse, and indoor. All three are very important disciplines, but we're going to need to figure out what that is. So as I started to vet out like why more outdoor farming doesn't exist beyond the biofarms, we might call them, I found out the answer is pretty simple. Outdoor farming is really hard. So I put together a business plan and said, all right, so if we were to do this though, and we were to do this for a market that's craving to have more selection, more disciplines that are available to people, what is it that we should do? Why are we different? And so we started an outdoor farm called Grasshopper Farms, and the first farm in Paw Paw, Michigan, right outside of Kalamazoo, or an hour south of Grand Rapids, with the aspiration of presenting the market with a higher quality outdoor flower, which was something that was largely missing from the Michigan market and most markets. Most markets will look at outdoor flower as either something that's straight for biomass or a deeply discounted flower. And so we know that this plant started outside, can thrive outside. So there was no reason why we shouldn't be able to do something like that. So we put together the team. And then after 2 years of harvest, we've sold out every year. This is our third harvest. And since then, we've also opened up in Colorado, and we're just received our final state license from New Jersey last Friday as well. And what we're aspiring to do is a little bit different. We're aspiring to open up 10 farms across the United States that operate individually, because farming needs to have decision-making rights at the local level. And so it's more of a deconstructed MSO where the farms are supporting each other and then working with local teams, with local operators to really thrive in those markets.
Well, I think it's even more interesting about your story as well. Big change for how you live your life day to day from your last career.
So I love what you just said. I used to wake up and know what uniform I was putting on, pretty rigorous schedule on what we do. In this respect, I think that the military has actually very much so helped me with what we're doing in this industry, because there's a lot of discipline that's necessary. There's a lot of organizational elements that are very much necessary. To me, the proprietary thing of what we do in this industry, and maybe with everything that we do, is all that comes down to the people. So we've got to build a team. We got to build a high functioning team, and we got to be able to build a team that's able to adapt and evolve with an industry that doesn't know what it's going to be in 5 and 10 years. There's just changes that happen every day. So in that respect, it's helped me out a lot. I can bring to the table, hey guys, we work in a regulated environment now. So that means here's our sandbox and we can do everything inside of it. But the term workaround isn't something we're going to employ going forward, even though that's something that was well-founded and utilized in the legacy markets for a lot of really good reasons. We just have to kind of grow into that. Now, I will say also that the legacy practices that have been brought in from a grow perspective and kind of quality perspective, absolutely critical in this industry. So You know, if I had Aaron here, our head outdoor farmer, I'd put my arm around him and say, hey, maybe this is what the market looks like right now. You've got somebody who's very coming from a disciplined background, high functioning in business, who's partnering with somebody who is high functioning in legacy. And we're putting those two things together, knowing that we both have to learn. And then we created a team that everybody has to continue learning as well. So I don't know. That's how I see it, Jeff.
Well, I think it's interesting. And you have a mantra, which I would support as well. Keep it simple, be confident, and make an impact every day. It's kind of what I would call a unique selling proposition. And does that come out of the military as well, or is that just what you learned from being in the military? You keep it simple, there's less room for mistakes.
Yeah, I think that yes, definitely develop that in the military and continue to employ that, specifically in this industry. So I was just at the Cannabis Business Times conference out in Las Vegas and talking to a lot of aspiring operators who are trying to develop what is their business, how do they want to launch into the market. And one of the chief things that I see these days is, what are you going to do? Do that thing at a scale that you can do it well, and then try to expand later. So maybe an example that at Grasshopper Farms is, this picture behind me is 40 acres developed, but we own 160. So there's a lot of folks out there, if they own 160 acres, I'm going to go plant 160 acres. That was not the decision we chose. Instead, we chose that we're going to develop a footprint that we can then go with a high degree of control and discipline and be able to produce something that has high quality and consistency. And so then our focus was on, and back to the discipline there, was all about, or keeping it simple, it was all about the high quality premium sun-grown flower is what it is, right? So even the pre-roll material and biomass became secondary thoughts. The primary focus was on that premium sun-grown flower. And what that allowed us to do by keeping it simple in that way was to make sure that we were doing that well. Now, we did sell pre-rolls and we sold out of those. We did sell biomass and sold out of that. But what we did was, first things first was the premium sun-grown flower. And then we'd say, do we have capacity to be able to do those other things too? And then as other ideas come in, what we'd simply say is that going to distract us from our core competency? If the answer is yes, it's not that it's a bad idea. It just goes on the wall and we'll revisit it later. Back to your comment on keeping it simple. And I think because we keep it simple and that employs focus and discipline, we've kind of found our place in the market right now. And that's served us well. And everybody, I think, needs to figure out what's going to serve them well from that respect too.
And who are your customers? Who are you dealing with?
So there's some obvious answers there. And I think the two obvious ones are immediately retailers and consumers. So what we have done since the very beginning, in fact, about 8 months before we even launched a single anything into the market, we were working with both retailers and consumers to say, who are we? What are we trying to do? And how are we trying to do it? Right. That's what we're trying to communicate. I would say maybe some other customers or maybe partners. You have your regulators and you have all the other operators out there as well, who you're going to be working with. But I think our primary focus from a customer perspective, who are we selling to, would be retailers and consumers. Now, we do sell to manufacturer processors as well on the biomass side. So we do need to have a good relationship with them as well. But typically they're turning the product into, or our product into their product. So it's a little bit different on how those relationships go from a communications perspective.
Well, again, everybody, this is the In the Weeds segment sponsored by Valiant. Chris Tenaglia is usually my co-host on these segments. If we're looking to find out more about what you do, how to contact you, how do we do that?
So our website is grasshopperfarms.com, and there's a lot of information there, including how to get a hold of us on email, calling us, all of our social media links. We are on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, and we post things quite actively there. There's a whole library of what we've done and how we've done it on our website as well. We also are what I might describe as an open facility, meaning you can schedule a tour with our facility. And then once a year, we also host an open house. So, I don't know when people are going to be hearing this episode, but this Saturday on August 26th is going to be our third annual open house. And what we do is we actually advertise within the community local papers. We advertise in the electronic media in the different markets where our products are as well. And then we advertise on social media, letting people know, hey, come check out what a cannabis farm is. And maybe more importantly, come see what a cannabis farm isn't. And it's really helpful that we think our number one responsibility is actually education. And it's back to showing people what it is and what it isn't, right? And then after that, we introduce the team and then we show them what we're doing and how we're doing it. So anybody can certainly head to our website, grasshopperfarms.com, learn a lot there. You can reach out to us. We'll email you back, call you back, set up a tour if you want to come, jump on a Zoom call and talk to you. But we're a pretty open team and facility.
And Will, where is the location?
So it's in Paw Paw, Michigan, which is just outside of Kalamazoo, and an hour south of Grand Rapids, and 2 hours outside of Detroit, 2 hours outside of Chicago, for places where you might be flying and driving to.
Well, I would love to be there this weekend, and I will say that Grasshopper Farms clearly is not my dad's old Woodstock. It's a different world. And although I wouldn't mind if you had this weekend all the bands that Woodstock had, that would definitely make it an attraction, but they would destroy the farm as they did Woodstock. So
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
great having you on the show again. I'm sure you'll be back again with Chris. And this is, as everybody knows, Radio Entrepreneurs.